Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everybody to this week's episode of the Get Money Show. It is your host, Gwen Jameer, and I am so thrilled to be here with you on this lovely, beautiful day. Every day is lovely and beautiful, and I'm so excited to talk to you about this topic because this is one that is going to change your future forever. And if you don't watch this, you will never be able to retire. And if you do retire, you will be retiring far less comfortably, right? Like we will be outliving our money. And that will be you if you do not take heed to what I'm going to teach you today. So I'm going to wait for you guys to get in the room. If you are watching this on replay, say replay for me and let me know that you watched on replay. If you're watching live, say, hey, girl, hey, and let me know that you are watching live with me. Welcome into the room, everybody over here on YouTube. I'm going to get Instagram started in just a minute. Go ahead and let me know where you are watching from. Dr. Nicole's always in the house. Hello, Queen. How are you today? Hello, lovelies over on Instagram as well. We are getting into this topic. Now, I know we have some festivities coming up in the next day and the weekend and everything going on, but you're going to want to make sure that you are paying attention to this. Hey, Danny, what's going on, my girl? How are you? Hello. I can't even talk. How are you? Hello. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time you are watching this. Danny is tuning in from STL. Did I know you were in STL? For some reason, I thought you were somewhere else. Dr. Nicole is in Charlotte. I got to get to Charlotte. I have been wanting to visit Charlotte for some time, and I haven't made it there yet. So I really got to get to Charlotte. But anyone else who is watching, let me know where you're watching from. As usual, we are going to get into this. We're going to be doing the math because y'all know I love to show you numbers in real time. And if you are watching live, I actually have a special treat for those of you who are watching live today because something is coming up. Something is coming up. Well, actually, it's not coming up. It's actually happening right now. So I'm going to tell you about it. If you are a newbie, stay newbie. All right. A newbie is someone who this is your first time watching me on the Get Money Show. If you are an OG, let me know that as well. Just say OG in the comments and let me know where you're watching from. Let me know where you're dialing in from. Hey, Beverly, good afternoon to you. Good afternoon, everybody. Hey, over on Instagram. Okay, I always have to say this because we have some new people who come in every week. If you see my head turning back and forth, that is because I am addressing YouTube over here on my screen, and then I am also addressing Instagram over here. So I don't want anybody to feel left out. So if you see my head or my body turning, that is what I am doing. Okay. I'm not weird or anything. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm addressing everybody. Okay. Now, again, let me know where you're watching from. Let's get those likes up, you guys. Hey, Rhonda from Florida and Beverly from West Virginia. Hello, Lysandra is coming in from Tennessee. Danny says she's an OGizzle. OGizzle. She's an OG. We got CAG 200, 400 over on Instagram, who is coming in from Maryland. Let me just put my other device on Do Not Disturb because I promise you, everybody and their mama will start trying to give me a call while I'm live, and we can't have that. All right. All right. I see y'all coming in the room. I'm so excited to see you guys. Let me know. Come on in. I don't want to get started too soon because if I get started too soon, I have to go back and repeat things I've already talked about. So I'm trying to let folks get in the room so that we can get started and let you guys go and enjoy the rest of your day. All right. So Malika is coming in from North Carolina. Hey, girl. Hey. Marvin is on. Hey, Marvin, what's going on? I haven't seen you at the gym lately. Where you been? Marvin goes to my gym. The Brantley Exchange. Hey, from Florida. Nicole, Dr. Nicole, is this a family member? I know you be bringing the family members up in here. Is this a family member, the Brantley Exchange? Let me know. Lorna is a newbie from New York. Welcome, Lorna. So excited to see you. Hey, Erlene from the DMV. All right, you guys. Do me a favor. So last week I went live and I did a live stream on PLTR. So PLTR is a stock. That's the ticker symbol. The company is called Palantir. I did a live on that, and that live has been going nuts ever since I went live on it. I need you all to do me a favor, okay? Do me a favor and click that like button. Let's get those likes up to 100 likes, okay? If everybody who is on this live stream just clicks the like button, we will have over 100 likes. All right. So go ahead and click the like button. That does a couple of things. One, it allows YouTube to know that you enjoy this type of content, you are interested in this type of content, and you will continue to receive these types of this type of content from creators like myself, as well as other creators as well. All right. Secondly, it helps spread the wealth. It helps spread the love. Like, don't be a gatekeeper, right? Like, let other people come into here because there's literally no shortage of money in the world. There's no shortage. If you get some, that don't mean that I can't get some too. If Danny gets some, that don't mean Beverly can't get some. Like, nobody's stopping the flow of money being printed at Fort Knox. Okay. So just pressing the like button is 100% free. All right. So just press the like button for me. If you are new to this channel, go ahead and press the subscribe button because I go live every week talking about these sorts of topics that will get you to seven figures and beyond, and giving you the game and explaining it in a really understandable way that doesn't feel overwhelming. It helps you really fix your money problems, right? A lot of us have money problems and we don't even realize we have money problems. And one of them I'm going to explain to you guys today, because a lot of y'all think you're good. Y'all think y'all golden when it comes to retirement. And I'm here to tell you that you're not. I'm here to tell you that you're not. So I'm explaining all that. Margaret is coming in from ATL. Shouty. What's up, Margaret? Thank you for joining in today. Again, if you're a newbie, if you're a newbie, say newbie. If you're an OG, let them know that you an OG. You've been here before. You ain't new to this. You true to this. Let them know. All right. All right. So, a couple other announcements before we get into the topic. The other thing I want to let you guys know is that the Fix My Money Challenge is now live. So it is live. We have not done it since September. All right. Fix My Money Challenge. There's a bunch of people in here who took the Fix My Money Challenge. If you took the challenge, let them know how beneficial it was for you in the comments below for me, because this challenge is absolutely life changing. And it is half off for the next couple of days only. It will be full price after the next few days, but as of today, it is half price. So I'm gonna put the link in the comments. You guys can check it out. And if you sign up and register for the Fix My Money Challenge while I'm live, okay, this will not be available once I'm gone, but once I'm live, which I'm live right now, you will also receive my financial literacy flashcards for free. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the link in the chat because I want y'all to get into this. It will absolutely change your finances. It'll change your life. You will be shocked at how much progress you will make in just 5 days. And quite honestly, the challenge is $64, y'all. Like, I'm just being transparent. The challenge is $64. Y'all spend more than $64 in a week on dumb shit, to be honest. And you know you do, right? So if you can fix your money for life for less than $15 a day, come on. Like, it only makes sense, right? We are live together every day for 5 days. And no questions go unanswered. Every question gets answered. Every single question. We will be on as long as we need to make sure everybody gets what they need and that they walk away from that challenge with all the information they need, fully equipped to be able to build a 7-figure net worth and beyond. All right. So again, if you sign up for the Fix My Money Challenge today, while I am live, you will receive my financial literacy flashcards for 100% free. All right. So go ahead and sign up. I'll put the link in the comments. And let's get into this topic, you guys. Let's get into this topic. So today we are going to be talking about the retirement mistake that most people make. Most people are sabotaging their retirement and they don't even realize it. Are you one of them? If you stick with me, I'm going to show you the difference between retiring broke and retiring with millions. And here's the thing. You don't have to make a ton of money to retire with millions. That is the thing that people don't understand and people don't know. All you need is time and consistency. All right. So let me know in the comments how many years away, or approximately how many years away you are from retirement. For some of you, that's going to be 2 years. For some of you, it's going to be 10 years. For some of you, it's going to be 30 years. For some of you, you will have already retired, right? So let me know in the comments how far away from retirement you are. By the way, those of you who are on Instagram, if you want to be able to see my screen and see the links that I post, see the math that I show, all of that, you're going to have to come over to YouTube, because Instagram doesn't allow me to share that stuff, right? Like, I can't share my screen. I can't share graphs. I can't share numbers. I can't share my calculator, any of that on Instagram, but I can on YouTube. So come on over. All you got to do is search for The Get Money Show, or you can search for my name, Gwen Jameer, on YouTube, and you will find it. All right. All right. Beverly's already retired. Jasmine has 30 plus years. Ashabe has 15 years. Artistry in Me has 2 years. Nolan, I'm wonderful. Thank you for asking how I'm doing. let's see who else. Malika has 21 years, 15. So I'm seeing between one person is already, some people are already retired. One person has like 2 years, but most people are between 15 and like 30 years from retirement, right? And remember, retirement, here's the thing you really need to know. Retirement is a number, it is not an age, right? Because here's the thing, regardless of how old you are, if you had $14 million in the bank today and you were 25, I'm pretty sure you'd be retired, right? So retirement is a number, it is not an age, it does not have to be an age, right? Because we are retiring when we feel we have enough money saved up or built up in our accounts in order to be able to comfortably live without working, correct? Unless maybe some of y'all would just keep working if you didn't have, like if you had a bunch of money in the bank. I'm assuming though, the vast majority of us are going to be like, peace out to the job or the company if we own one, if we got our money up. If I'm right, just say right in the comments. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. All right. But I think I'm right. At least that would be me, right? If I was working a job, I would be out as soon as I had enough money. Right. So the thing is, hey, Kofi. Kofi is already retired. Sabrina has 4 years. Margaret has 12. Clarence is only 2 months away. All right. Margaret says I'm right. Malika says I'm right. Jasmine says I'm right. So is Artistry and me. Kalam 4 says 15 years away. Okay. Yeah, I figured y'all probably wouldn't be working if you had enough money in the bank. Right. So that's the mindset shift I need you to have. Right. It's about the number in the bank or in your accounts, not an age. Because no one is working until 65 or 70 if they don't have to. Right. We're retiring early. Okay. Okay. Now that we're all on the same page, again, do me a favor and press the like button, you guys. Let me know how many likes we got right now. Let's get those likes up to 100. Get the likes up to 100 for me. Do not be a gatekeeper. Liking this video is free. It helps my channel, and it also helps other people to get this information that everyone so desperately needs. Okay, all you gotta do is press like. Right? All right. Also, I just want to shout out one person. We have D Jack. And also, who else was it? Let me go and find the name because I want to get the name right. D Jack and Adrian Leon have both become members of this channel here on YouTube. Welcome, you guys. I'm so excited to have you guys as members. By the way, if you are a member, you get special shout outs and you have priority in having your questions answered. I can't get to every single one in the amount of time that we have. I try my best, but I can't get to everyone. But if you are a member, you get priority to any question. I will make sure your question gets answered before everyone else's. Okay. So if you would like that opportunity, make sure you become a member of this channel. It's only $6 or $5.99, actually $5.99 to become a member. And I will be able to get to you with priority. All right. All right. So as I was saying, most people are sabotaging their retirement and they don't know it. Okay. So most people are treating their 401ks, their 403bs, their HSAs like savings accounts. And the reason I'm doing this topic today is because last week I briefly touched on this, and like there was an onslaught of comments like, please show me how to invest my retirement because I'm not investing it. I got a bunch of emails about it. I got a bunch of DMs about it. And of course, messages on the comments as well. And I was like, okay, you know what? Next week, I was going to do a whole course on it. I was like, nah, let's just do a live. Let's get people what they need right now so that they can make moves right now. Okay, we're moving into a whole new year pretty soon. And this is stuff that you're probably in open enrollment. You may have the opportunity to make some changes. So now is a prime time for you to be able to take this information I'm going to give you and put it to use. Okay. Now, the common misconception is that, like I said, people are using their retirement accounts as glorified savings accounts instead of leveraging them as investment vehicles. Are you someone who is leveraging your retirement account as an investment vehicle, or are you using it as a savings account? Now, here's what I mean the difference is. If you are putting money into your 401k, your 403b, or any other source of retirement accounts that your employer may offer, okay? Or if you are self-employed and you have a solo 401k or a SEP IRA, okay? Are you putting money into that account and perhaps also taking advantage of the employer match? If that's what you're doing, give me a 1. Nope, don't give me a 1. say saving. If you are saving in your account, say save. Now, on the other hand, you can take that same money in your 401k, 403b, HSA, whatever, right? Or any other employer offered retirement account. And you can then invest it into the stock market to grow your money exponentially. If you are investing, say investing. If you are saving, literally putting money in there and taking advantage of your employer match, put in, just say saving. If you are actually investing that money, say investing. Noland is investing. Renata, Malika, Danny, Jasmine are saving. Rhonda is also saving. Okay. Kofi is investing. Shay Bay, I hope I'm saying your name right, darling, is investing. Beverly's investing. Beverly's investing now. I'm so happy for you, Beverly. Beverly, she was in the Fix My Money Challenge, and she is like doing a doggone thing. I'm so proud of her. Jennifer is saving. Erlene is investing. Few people are investing. Most of you guys are saving, right? Now, even if you are investing, I want to know, are you managing your investment, or is your job managing your investment? Because there's a key difference there as well. A lot of times at many jobs or many companies, they will say, well, you put your money here, we're going to put it into these blanket stocks or these blanket ETFs, because based upon your age, here's what we think that will be best for you, right? That's what a lot of companies will do sometimes. But as I've always said, and I'm going to say it again and say it over and over and over and over again, nobody cares about your money more than you, including your job. Okay? No one cares more about your money than you. Sidebar. Let me give you a little bit of a story. Okay? Let me tell you what happened to me. So speaking of no one caring about your money more than you, you have to have eyes on your money. I don't care if you're an employee. I don't care if you are an employer, or if you are just a business solo entrepreneur. Even if you have an accountant, no one cares more about your money than you. Let me tell you about my little story. Okay. So I'm minding my business, doing what I do, running my companies, all that sort of stuff. I get a letter in the mail from the state of Kansas. True story, right? State of Kansas, saying you owe $3,100 in taxes. And I'm like, for what? What are you talking about? Right? I live in Kansas. I live in Michigan. So it was addressed to my company, one of my companies. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. So I call my accountant. This was months ago. Call the accountant. And I say, hey, what's going on? It looks like sales taxes haven't been paid to Kansas. Now, when you own a company and you have sales in a certain state, you have to pay taxes to that state. Sales taxes, right? That's why you get charged taxes when you buy online, right? So I call the accountant. I say, hey, Matt, that's his name. Hey, I got this letter and they said that the sales taxes hadn't been filed for these 4 quarters. 4 quarters, this whole year, right? He's like, oh, you know what? Send me the letter. I'll take care of it. Time goes on. I'm thinking everything's good. I get another letter from the state of Kansas. Hey, you still haven't paid these taxes. We're gonna have to take legal action. Now I'm freaking out, like, what the hell? So I called the accountant back up. Oh, you know what? I did it. I don't know what's taking so long. Let me call them back and get it done. And I'm like, I'm the type, like, I'm a get shit done person, right? So I'm expecting you to do the same thing if I'm paying you, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna let him handle it because he says he's gonna handle it. I get a third letter. I say, okay, too much. This is team too much. I call the state of Kansas. I say, hey, I got this letter. I want to make sure it's taken care of. My accountant's not doing what he's supposed to do. And, you know, I need to know just walk me through this so I know what to do, because typically an accountant would handle that sort of thing. But since he's not, please walk me through the process. In talking to the accountant, he's like, oh my gosh, like this is so complicated and so difficult. It's a lot of work. And, you know, I just haven't had a chance to get to them all these different states and so forth and so on. Y'all, I called Kansas, talked to this lovely woman who took her time to walk me through the process. Do you know how much we actually owed in taxes to the state of Kansas? Take a guess. Y'all take a guess in the comments how much we actually owed in taxes. Remember, they sent me a bill for $3,100 because they were estimating the amount due per quarter plus penalties for not paying, right? So they estimated that collectively as $3,100. Guess how much I owe? Nope, nowhere near. Danny said 5,000. Nope. Nope. Nolan said 10,000. Nope. Margaret said 500. Wow. Kayla says 300,000. Erlene said nothing. Daphne said 500. Jasmine said 0. Let me tell you, we owe $38.21. $38.21. This is how much we owed in taxes to the state of Kansas. Meanwhile, this man has me receiving letters, threatening letters in the mail because he's not doing his job, right? And again, no one cares more about your money than you, right? So even if you're a business owner, right? It's laughable, right, Kayla? So thank God I called this lady and I'm telling her the story. Right, Dr. Nicole, I found it out in minutes. In minutes. This lady was on the phone with me and she was like, you know what? You will be so. I was like, I am so embarrassed to say that I did not know any of this. Like, she was like, you would be so surprised at how many phone calls we get from business owners whose accountants have not done their jobs. And I was like, well, I guess that's good to know that I'm not on this island alone. But the fact that she was like, yeah, it doesn't take any time. Like, she showed me, I filed for every single quarter, y'all. It took me all of an hour to file for all 8. By this time, it had been 8 quarters, all 8 quarters, 2 years that he had not filed in the state of Kansas. It took me an hour to do it all. So you mean to tell me in 2 years, you couldn't find an hour to file stuff that I'm paying you for? Sir, make it make sense. Instantly, you're done. You're done, right? So Tracy said they would threaten you over $38. But Tracy, they didn't know how much I actually owed because I had to report it based upon our sales in that state, right? And so they didn't know that it was $38. They were assuming because they were estimating my sales taxes owed based upon me not filing anything. So of course, they're going to estimate in their favor, right? They're going to estimate way more than need be. And so in addition to the taxes that was supposedly owed according to their estimation, there was also penalties on top of that. But because we owed so little, she was like, I'm just going to waive all these penalties. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, there's no way I'm going to make you pay these penalties. So $38.21, y'all. So again, moral of the story is that no one cares more about your money than you. Now, what if I had just said, you know what, let me just take this L and pay this. I don't even want to deal with this because this is just too much. I don't know how to file sales taxes in different states other than my own. Let me just take this L and pay us $3,100. I would have been out of $3,100 instead of $38.21, right? So I say all this to say, no one cares more about your money than you. Yes, Artistry and me, you bet your bottom dollar I fire his behind. He gone with the wind, gone with the wind. Okay, like 2 years, 2 years. You haven't filed? I got to call it. I had to. Well, this is over now. I took care of all of it, but I had to call other states and deal with the same thing. It was crazy. So I'm just like, again. Bottom line is no one cares more about your money than you, okay? So that goes for your employer as well. Your employer, you may think has your best interest at heart, just like I thought my accountant had my best interest at heart. He sure had my best interest when I was paying him, right? But he didn't have my best interest when it came to actually doing what needed to be done, right? Oh, I'm going to get to it. Let me tell you, I actually called the state of Illinois because I had the same issue in Illinois. Called the state of Illinois, talked to a lady, explained the whole thing to her, told her I dealt with this thing in Kansas. She was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry to hear that. Actually, your accountant's name is actually on the account, and I contacted him. This is the lady at the state of Illinois. I contacted him, and he said that he was going to take care of this back in July, but I haven't heard from him since then. You mean to tell me you didn't let this get to a point where the people at the state got to call you and you said you were going to take care of it and you still didn't? Okay. So yes, the accountant's fired. He's gone. But the blessing in all of this is that it taught me that even though I handle my personal business myself, right, my personal finances, just fine, right? And I call myself outsourcing some of the financial management to someone else. And I do have eyes on it, right? I know how much money we bringing in. I know what the profit and the loss is and all that sort of stuff. But when it came to like that aspect of it, like handling the taxes, I left it up to the accountant. And even with that, no one cares more about my money than me, because he would have been just fine had I paid that $3,100 tax bill. It wouldn't have been out of his pocket, right? It would have been out of mine. No harm, no foul to him. So you got to take care of yourself, right? You got to take care of your own stuff. And so now that I know how to file taxes in like all the states myself, like I just do it. Like it's pretty simple. It's different for every state, but it's pretty simple. So I'm not paying somebody to do that anymore, right? And so even if you have a employer-led or employer-created retirement account, you still need, and they are investing it for you supposedly, you still need to know what it's invested in, because you have the ability to make changes on that. And I can pretty much guarantee you they are not maxing out the retirement investment. I can guarantee it. Because here's the thing. As I've said before, right? If you're new, you may not have heard me say this, but if you've been here for a while, you heard me say this. Do me a favor, you guys. If you haven't pressed like, press the like button for me. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button for me, okay? Get this video out to everybody. Let's get those likes up to 100, okay? Now, here's the thing. Your job receives a tax benefit for you investing in your 401k, right? So if you invest in your 401k, your company that you work for gets a tax benefit for that. That means they get a tax write-off, which means they save money and they pay less taxes, okay? They also get a tax benefit or a tax write-off, meaning they save in taxes when they match your contribution, right? Now, they can't match it 100% because they wouldn't have any money left over, right? They can't match everybody 100%, but they do match usually up to 2 to 4 and sometimes 6%, right? They want you to work enough where you feel like, yes, Tracy, she said they want you to work until you die. And this is no shade at companies and jobs, okay? If you have a job, like have a job, right? But just make sure you are maxing out the opportunity that you have, because those of us who are self-employed, we don't get a company match, right? So if you do get a company match, please take advantage of that. But don't let that money just sit and be there for saving. So a lot of you guys said that you are sitting there saving instead of being invested. Okay. So we're going to talk about how to invest your money so that you can maximize it. Okay. Now, again, your job's going to more than likely try to either they're definitely not going to try to beat the stock market. Okay. They're going to try to like be on par with it, or they're going to even be below average, right? Now, the average stock market return over time is 8 to 10%, right? If you're getting 7% on your money with your employer, right? Obviously, they're not even on par with the stock market. You might as well manage it yourself. Also, you can very easily outpace the stock market if you choose the right ETFs and the right stocks. If they're not doing that, they don't have your best interest at heart. So they want you to work. They want to give you this opportunity, one, to entice good workers, right? They're going to entice good employees by offering a 401k and therefore a match, right? But keep in mind, they're not doing that match out of the kindness of their heart or even offering that 401k out of the kindness of their heart. They're offering it because they get a tax write-off for that. Okay. In addition to being helpful, they also get a huge benefit. All right. So if they're matching everybody who works at their company, you got 400 employees, and you wonder why certain really, really rich people that we know and love or don't love don't pay taxes, right? Because the tax code is written for the people who are employers and people who are investors. That's what the tax code is written for. So if you're an employer and you're taking advantage of all the breaks that you get, all the little loopholes, there's a very good chance you're going to pay zero to very little taxes. The rest of us don't have that. Okay. So that's the first thing to keep in mind. Your job is going to, if they are investing it for you, right? You still need to know what it is. So those of you who said you're investing, if your job is the one that's investing it for you, do you know what your return is? Without looking, do you know what your return is right now? If your job is investing your retirement for you, do you know what your average return is? Michelle says her company does not match. She has a 457 and a 401. Okay. That's okay. I'm gonna still tell you what to do, Michelle. It's all good because you're gonna manage your account anyway. If your company matches it, do you know what your return is? Ashebe says hers is 14%. Does anybody else know? Without looking, what is your return? Georgia has no clue, right? Georgia says she has no clue. That's okay. No shame. This is a safe space, okay? And after today, you're going to know because you're going to be managing it. But good for you, Ashebe, for getting 14%. All right? Tracy says our company matches her 4%. Okay, cool. All right. Joe says year to date 25%. Nolan is 26. Nolan is 26%. Awesome. Now, are you guys managing it yourself, or is your job managing it 100% for you? Nolan and Joe. Tracy's job told her she cannot touch the money. I'm sorry, what? Do they mean that you can't touch it until you turn 59 and a half? Maybe they're trying to say you can't pull it out without penalty. Maybe that's what they meant. That you can't pull it out without penalty. Okay. Nolan is getting 26%, but also Nolan is managing it, right? Nolan's managing his own 401k. So he's getting 26%, right? That's great. Probably not going to get that if your job is managing it for you. Okay. Joe, what about you? Joe's getting 34% since November 2023. Are you managing it yourself, or is your job managing it for you? Like, do you not touch it at all? Tracy, it is not accurate for them to tell you that you can't manage your 401k. It's your 401k. So what I would do, Tracy, she says they manage it 100%. Tracy, I would contact whoever handles your benefits, not your HR person. I can't put the money in different stocks. Why not? I don't believe that. I think that they're telling you something that's not true. I will contact whoever is the whoever manages that benefit. So when you get your statement in the mail, it's not your job, right? Your job is the company that offers it to you, but they're not the ones that manage it. I would contact whoever's on your statement and ask them how you can go about investing money yourself in the stock market, because they can't tell. That's your money. It's your money. I don't know because I'm not a lawyer, but I'm going to assume it's probably on the verge of illegal to not allow someone to have access to their 401k money. That's what I'm going to assume. Okay. They said she has a PFlex account and couldn't invest in that market. I'm not sure what that means, Dr. Nicole. Tracy says a T Rowe account. Okay. Have you contacted T Rowe Price, Tracy? Have you contacted them directly? I don't know what a PFlex account is. I'll have to Google that. But you should be able to choose the stocks you want your money in. Now, it may be frowned upon by your job, but not impossible. Tracy says, no, I have not contacted T Rowe Price. Contact T Rowe Price. Don't talk to your job. Because honestly, if you're talking to HR, the HR people, they probably don't even know themselves. Call T Rowe Price, because they're the ones who manage and hold your actual accounts. So contact them and then let me know next week or at some point what it is that they say. Okay. All right. So everyone who is getting like these huge amounts of returns, it seems, at least those who have commented, are people who are investing themselves. They're investing themselves in the stock market with their retirement funds. Those who are getting lower returns or don't even know what they're getting are probably either not being invested by the company or allowing their company to invest for them. Okay. And so we don't want to do that anymore. All right. So let me give you guys a quick example of why this is so important. So I gave this example last week, and I want to show you guys this because this is really important. I really need to show you this to drive this home. Let me share. Share my screen. Okay. So I have a client who was about to retire. And actually she's going to retire in a few months. And when she told me earlier this year that she was going to retire, I said, "Oh, that's so great. Congratulations. Do you mind me asking, what is your, what are you retiring with?" And she told me she was retiring with $300,000. And she was so proud of this $300,000. And that was great. $300,000 is nothing to sneeze at. However, she's only less than 60, maybe 58, 59. And I thought to myself, well, the average income in America is around $50,000, right? So even if she spent $50,000 to live per year, 300,000 divided by 50,000 is only 6 years. So the average lifespan says that she's probably going to live more than 6 years. If she were to, I didn't know what her actual, at the time, I didn't know what her actual salary was, but her salary was actually more like 78,000. So if she were to try to live on that same $78,000, right? And you divide that by 300,000, we get 3.8 years that she has enough money to live as comfortably as she was when she was working. Now you might say, well, maybe she'll downsize. Okay, maybe, but who wants to have to do that? Right? So even if she downsized, instead of living on 78,000 and she lived on 50,000, like I just said, right, which is $28,000 difference, that's definitely downsizing. She still only gets 6 years out of that $300,000, right? And so when we're thinking about retirement, we have to assume that we don't want to outlive our money. That will be terrible, right? So I did the math. And I said to myself, I'm just using my calculator right here. And I said, okay, well, you're retiring with 300,000. And I said, well, did you invest your retirement money? He said, what do you mean? Did I invest it? I said, did you take that money that you were saving and did you invest it? She's like, oh, well, my employer matched my money. And she was so happy about this. And I didn't want to bust her bubble, right? And so she's like, yeah, my employer matched and they matched a certain percentage. Now I got $300,000. I'm like, okay. Did you ever invest in the stock market? She said, no. And I said, oh, because I knew that she could have so much more money than $300,000. Right. And while she was excited about the $300,000 and I didn't want to rain on her parade, I know that $300,000, it sounds like a lot of money as a lump sum, but it ain't going to last as long as you think it's going to last. It's not, right? So there's a very good chance that she will outlive her money. And here's what she could have done instead, okay? And this is what I want you all to think about being able to do. So if we take $300,000 and she worked for 40 years, so we take 300,000. I'm going to show y'all the math on my screen. Let me actually do a different screen. Hold on. Let me share this so you all can actually see the math in real time. Okay. So let's say she took $300,000. Okay. So she worked for 40 years. So divide that by 40. We've got $7,500. Okay. Do me a favor. If you have not liked this video yet, press the like button for me. Okay. So we got $7,500 a year that she saved and or got matched, right? So let's just say $7,500 a year. If we divide that by 12 months in a year, we have $625 per month on average that she saved from the time, let's say it was 58, So let's say she worked from 18 until 58, right? And she saved $625 per month. And let's assume she was diligent and consistent with that. Okay. $625 per month. Remember this number. Okay. So I'm going to show you what she could have had she invested this and managed this herself. Let's say she didn't contribute. Let's say she contributed only $1 to start. All right. She just contributed $1 and she put in $625 per month, every month for 40 years. And she got the average rate of return from the stock market. Let's just say 9%. And that was calculated annually. She would be retiring instead of $300,000. She'd be retiring with $2,637,000 some odd dollars, which is an enormous difference, right? That's an enormous difference between $300,000. So let's say she has 2.6, I'm gonna say $2.6 million. Okay. And then she divides that, and let's say she lives on that same $50,000. He's able to get 52 years out of that, not 6. Has she only invested it, and this is at a very low rate of return. This is at 9%, right? Now, if she had done an ETF, like the ones that I mentioned, the ones I talk about, she could have even more. Let's say she got over and above that. And she was, well, the one I like is 15%. She would have $14 million. Now she can get a whole lot of life out of $14 million, right? If you can get a lot of life out of $14 million, comment the word life for me. Life, L-I-F-E. Because at $14 million, she does not have to downsize, nor does she have to downsize with the $2 million that I showed had she just got a 9% return, right? But at $14 million, she could, and let's say she was living on that $78,000 that she was already, living on when she made, she would have 179 years, which means her money would outlive her, which is what we want, right? We don't want to outlive our money. We want our money to outlive us, because once we die, ideally we have a trust set up, we have a will set up, and we then pass it along to our family members. And now we are building generational wealth so that our children, our children's children don't have to work as hard, right? But for the same amount, here's the thing I want to impart on you. This is not any different than what she was already doing. She was already saving $625 a month. She's already doing that. It's not like she did anything different. It's not like she found some extra money. This is the same money. The same money that she was already saving. And if she had, instead of using her 401k as a savings account, which most of us are doing, right? If she had instead put that money into a stock market, into the stock market, and invested it and just got 15%, she would have $14 million and not have to worry about not having enough money to retire on. Here's the other thing that's really important to know is that when it comes to the amount of money that we have at retirement, a lot of that money gets used up as we age. So as we age, we have health issues, right? Some of us end up going to senior care facilities. Those things not cheap. Not a good one. Not one you actually want to be in. You can be at a Roach Motel one where they be beating the people and stuff, for maybe less. You don't want that, right? But that $300,000, not only is she trying to live off of $300,000, but she has to assume that she's probably pretty healthy at 58, but let's get to 78. Let's get to 88. What might happen? We don't know. And she has no HSA, just the $300,000 that she saved for retirement. And no other income coming in. Her husband has passed away. So it's not like her husband is living where she can kind of supplement it. So she's solely responsible for the rest of her life off of this $300,000. Now, let's say she was able to really outpace the stock market. Like, who was that? Somebody earlier said that they were getting like a 26%, right? Let's just run some numbers and see what we would have if she was able to get 26%. You guys, She would have $332 million if she was able to get that. I mean, of course, she's not going to get that every year, but let's just say she did. She would get $332 million. And here's what's crazy about this. And I know these numbers are mind-blowing because most of us cannot fathom that much money, right? Most of us cannot fathom how someone could possibly only invest. Let's see, she would have only invested her $300,000, but she would have gotten $332,239 and some more in interest. All of that is interest. This is the magic of compound interest. Right? Now she was able to get 26%. That's wild, right? But which is a mind-staggering number. But let's just say she just got the 15%, right? $14 million. You're going to be real comfortable with $14 million. I'm going to assume that you can retire a lot more comfortably with $14 million than you can with $300,000. I'm assuming. Y'all let me know, because I mean, maybe it's just me. Maybe y'all can swing 300,000 for the rest of your life. Because I know, like I said, I understand that number sounds like a big number, but it's really not. It's really not in the grand scheme of how long you can live. And so if you just go to Google and you type in life expectancy for a woman born in whatever year, or life expectancy for a man born in whatever year, you will be able to see how long you are on average expected to live, right? And so for people born in the year I'm born, in the 80s period, right? It's about like 90, right? It's like 90, 92, somewhere on there. So if she only, I mean, she wasn't born in the 80s like me, she's, older than me, but let's say her life expectancy was like 88 or something, right? She got 30 more years, but she's going to be out of money in 6. That's assuming she doesn't like significantly downgrade her lifestyle and start like move out of her house where she has a mortgage still, right? Probably not go out as much as she does. I don't think anybody wants to have to drastically change their life, right? You're supposed to enjoy your retirement, not be suffering in it, right? And so this is so crucial. When I say you won't be able to retire, there's going to come a time from the time that she retires to the time that she passes away that she's going to find she's going to have to start working again. And when we had this discussion, she was so shocked and upset with herself for not knowing that she should have been using her account as a retirement account. I mean, as a investment account, not as a savings account, not as a glorified savings account. Yes, your job is going to match you, but they're not going to match you enough for it to make a huge difference in how much money you'll have when you actually retire. Unless you invest it, right? Unless you invest it. So these are the staggering numbers. The difference, literally the difference between $300,000 and on the low end, $2 million, or $3 million and on the better end, $14 million, or on a super high end, $300,000 versus $332 million. Right? And that amount that she invested is, let's see, 625 times 12, $7,500, right? A year. Guess what? In your 401k, you can actually max it out at like 23.5 thousand. So she wasn't even maxing it out. If she had maxed it out, who knows how much she would have, right? She wasn't even at half the amount that she could have put in every single year for her 401k. So what my point in telling you all of this, and I hope you are getting what I'm putting down, the point in telling you all this is that it does not take a ton of money for you to have a ton of money, right? It doesn't take a ton of money for you to have a ton of money. Love matters. What can she do now? That's the question. I mean, she can't really do much outside of try to invest, take some of that money that she has. If I were her, and what I suggested to her is that, I'm going to post your question. What I suggested to her is that she take $100,000 of that and she put that into the stock market. Take the other $200,000, live on that, but significantly downsize her life. She had to go through her her planning, she took the Fix My Money challenge actually. And so this is how she found all this stuff out. She would not have known any of this had she not taken the Fix My Money challenge, which is why, again, it's open right now. It's half price. You guys should definitely sign up because you will be discovering things like this, because it's better for her to know this now than for her to get 6 years in and realize, oh shit, I don't have any money. I don't have any money. What am I going to do? Right? She has the opportunity to fix it now. Right? She has the opportunity to fix it now, even though she's at retirement and she's excited about retirement. But we have to put some things into place where she can fix this. So to answer your question, love matters. What can she do now? I suggested that she take $100,000 of that money, put that into the stock market, invest in certain ETFs and certain stocks. I suggested PLTR, which is the one I talked about last week. I suggested VOO. I suggested QQM or QQQ, right? Those are the three, and SCHD, because that will pay her some dividends. With $100,000 as a lump sum, that will give her a nice size, decent amount of a dividend to kind of live off of a little bit. But she is not, if she takes that whole $300,000 and tries to live off of it right now, she's going to be out of money. At least if she takes that $100,000, she will be able to put that into the stock market. With $100,000, she should get some pretty nice gains over the next like 10 or maybe even 20 years if she leaves it in there. Hold on, let me see. Let's try to do some math for y'all real quick. Okay, so let me show you this, because again, math is important, which is what I be trying to teach my son, but you know, he's 13. He doesn't see the value of math quite yet. Okay, so let's do this. All right, so look, so I took the $100,000. I'm just going to make this 0 so you all can see how this will work. Oops. Okay, so let's do this. Okay. All right. So let's say she took that $100,000 that I told her to take out of the 300, right? She's going to take that $100,000 and she's not really necessarily going to contribute anything else because she doesn't have any other money to contribute. She doesn't have a job or anything like that, right? So she's not contributing anything else monthly. Let's say she left that in there for 10 years. So she's 58 now. If she left that in there for 10 years, and she was able to get that 15% return, she would have an additional $404,000, right? So if she was able to downsize her life right now and keep in mind, she still has $200,000 to her name. Okay. She's going to have to downsize quite a bit, take that 100,000, put that into the stock market, invest and get on average a 15% return, but she invests in the things I told her to, she'll probably get more than that. Right. But on the low end, she could get about 15%. And that's compounding annually. She would have an additional $404,000. Now she would have put in 100, but she would have gained interest of $304,000 in 10 years. So like I was telling you guys, that $100,000 is, hold on, let me fix my screen again. Hold on. Okay. That $100,000, by investing that one lump sum of $100,000, it actually allows her to be able to get some really good gains pretty quickly. So $300,000 in 10 years is a hell of a lot of money to just make passively, right? Just make passively. So she will already have 200,000. She will then have an additional $400,000 if she leaves it in there for 10 years. Now, if she were able to somehow stretch that to 20 years, which I don't really see how she's going to be able to do that. Let's just say 15. In 15 years, she will have an additional $813,000. So she's 58 now. If we add on 15 years, she'd be 73. She's still under the age of when she would be ready to retire. Now, keep in mind, she doesn't have to leave the whole amount of money in there the whole time. She can take some of it out to live off of, but meanwhile, she's getting gains on this $100,000 that she's not going to get by just sitting in her bank account, right? If you have not liked this video yet, please press the like button, you guys. I appreciate you so much. Press the like button for me, okay? And thank you, Dr. Nicole. Yes, Dr. Nicole says, get the Fix My Money Challenge while it's 50% off. Plus, you get a free gift from Gwen, my 40 financial flashcards, completely free if you purchase while on today's live. I love it. Thank you, Nicole. Yes. Get in the Fix My Money Challenge. And like, she's completely right. If you sign up while I'm live today, I will send you my financial literacy flashcards for free as well. Okay. Love Matter says, maybe while she is still relatively young and well, she should downsize her home and get a part-time job or business that she enjoys to continue investing. I 100% agree. I 100% agree. Now she has started a business. She started a business of her own. And that business is starting to generate some money. So she doesn't really want to work for anybody else. And that's cool, right? She can take some of that money and invest it, just like you said, Love Matter. So you have the right thinking, 100%. Yes, she's definitely should downsize her home. She still has a mortgage on it, quite a bit of a mortgage on the home. And I agree, she should downsize. She should sell the house, get some of that money from the house sale, downsize where she lives, keep doing her business, make money at that, and add more money into it. But the point, so you're right. I love what you said. The point of all of this is that if she were to leave it in for 15 more years, right, she would have $813,000 from that $100,000 investment. So this is what she should do. Okay. Now, if she were to leave it in there for 20 years, because just say she's, working at her company, her own company, she would be able to walk away with $1.6 million. So it can still be done. She just, she has to make some pretty drastic changes in the meantime. But even if she were just to do it for the first 10 years, she would still end up with almost $500,000. She would have $400,000. Right? Now, if she were able to outpace it even more to get 20%, she would actually raise that by $200,000 and end up with $619,000. So again, it can be done, but there's strategy behind all this, right? There's strategy behind it. So if you are someone who is close to retirement, somebody said a few people said they were already retired. A couple other people said they were a year or two away. Somebody else said they were 5 years away. So for those of you who are close, if you are in that boat and you're like, oh snap, I'm watching this and I'm realizing I ain't gonna have enough money. What do I need to do? This is what you do. Okay. Whatever money that you have, if you are already retired, take some of that money. Hopefully you have, a decent sized nest egg. You can take some of that, invest that into the stock market. I'm gonna tell you what to do. And then you can grow it even after you are already retired. Okay. Is anyone confused? I don't want anybody confused. Kofi says, will she be able to get Social Security at 62? Do I recommend she apply for Social Security at 62? I recommend everybody apply for Social Security. But honestly, depending on how old you are, like me, I don't think it's going to be a whole lot available for me when I get to Social Security. So I can't rely on Social Security. But yes, absolutely. Like you've been paying, if you work a job, you've been paying, or if you get a check, if you're an employer like myself, but you pay yourself on payroll like I do, you still have to pay Social Security taxes. So you've been paying into this all your life. 100% go apply for it and get your money that you've been paying into. But depending on your age and when you're going to be retiring and when you're going to apply, you may or may not really be able to get a whole lot. So I would not rely on that solely. But even if it was $10, like it's my money, like I still want it, right? So yes, she should apply, but I don't know how much she's actually going to get. So there's that. Okay, good question. All right. So let's get into I already showed you guys the numbers. Let's talk about the breakdown. Okay. So when it comes to a 401k or a 403b or most other employer offered retirement accounts such as this, most of them are going to match. Some of them will not. If your employer does match, please take the free money, right? If you don't take it, that's like saying like, no, I don't need any extra money. If I came to you and I said, hey, I'm going to give you, for every $10 you put in, I'm going to give you $3, right? I'm going to match 3% or 30% of everything you put in. Are you going to take it or no? You're probably going to take it, right? If I said for every $100 you put in, I'm going to give you $3. You probably would still take it, even though it's significantly less compared to your 100. But why not? If I'm just giving it to you for free. So why would you not do that? Right? Why would you not do that? So take the free money. Okay. But you also have to choose the right investment funds. So for those of you who have a 401k, a 403b, or any other sort of retirement fund like this that's offered by your employer, I want you to go and look up what your current return is. You should be able to find this online. If you can't find it online, you can simply look at your statements. If you are someone who throws away your statements, I need you to call the company that manages it. So like I told Tracy earlier, don't go to your HR because they don't be knowing. Okay. They don't be knowing. I instead need you to go to your company that manages your retirement. It's going to be on your statement. Okay. So Tracy said hers is T. Rowe, right? Somebody else earlier said Fidelity. Somebody else earlier said Charles Schwab, right? So whatever your statement is coming from, wherever your statement is coming from, that's who you want to call. Okay. Danny says hers is 9.78 year to date. She just looked it up. Okay. 9.78% she's getting as a return on her retirement from her employer. Now, Danny, you could continue to let them manage it, but you could I can guarantee you get far better returns if you manage it yourself. Okay. But that's the first step. Like, you don't even know what you're working with if you don't look it up. If you don't look it up, you have no clue what you're getting. Okay. Now, keep in mind that your 401k and your 403b are tax deferred, right? These are tax deferred. That means that you will pay taxes on it when you retire, but you don't pay taxes on it until you retire. So you're not paying taxes on this money now. Okay. Ash Shay Bay says hers gets 29% year to date. I love to hear it. Malika says hers is 14.21. I love it. I love it. All right. The higher the percentage you can get on your money, the better. Now, a lot of people will tell you to just go and invest your money into a bunch of stocks. And I'm going to say, for someone who is risky like myself, I'm going to say sure. But I realize that some of us are not, right? So last week we did a little exercise. We said who's risky and who's not risky. A lot of you guys, way more than I expected, said risky. Some of you guys said you were shook, right? Shook people were like, oh, I'm not so sure about investing in the stock market. When it comes to your retirement money, here's the thing. You got to remember that no one is coming to save you. Just like the client I told you about earlier, no one's coming to save her. She got to figure this out herself. She got to fix this problem herself, right? And so I was working with her to tell her what to do and all that sort of stuff, right? But she is going to have, there are no loans for retirement. There are no grants for retirement, right? You got loans for college. You got loans for buying a house. Ain't no loans for retirement. There's no grants. What you have is what you have. And so you have to prioritize it. And the unfortunate thing is that when we're younger, like youth is wasted on the young, right? So when we're younger, we don't really think that much about retirement, but you hit 40 plus, you be like, oh, I only got like 20 some years. Like, let me get this stuff together. Right. And so for her, she needs to fix the situation so that she can still live kind of comfortably. Right. But again, none of us are working unless we really have to. So we don't want her working unless she has to, or at least working to do things that she enjoys, which is why I told her, take $100,000 of that. Even though you probably want to use it, don't do that. Take 100K of it, go put it in the stock market, get some gains on it, and then pull some of that money out as you need it. Okay. Now, again, these are tax deferred. So when you retire, you will pay taxes. Okay. But you will not pay taxes right now. So the retirement age for a 401k, remember, retirement is a number. It is not an age necessarily. But when it comes to the government, they consider it an age. So the age you can take this money out without any penalties, okay, is 59 and a half. 59 and a half. Okay. So if you retire at 40 or 45, you still can't take this money out until 59 and a half without paying a 10% penalty. Okay. And we don't want anybody having to pay penalties that they don't have to pay. But you leave that money in there for that amount of time and you will have zero penalties. All right. Now, when it comes to your 401k and your 403b, you can, and Tracy, I really want you to contact T. Rowe Price or T. Rowe and find out what the deal is with that, because you are supposed to be able to manage it yourself. They have the option of doing it, or you have the option of allowing them to, but you can manage it yourself. So contact them. Okay. Danny says she's going to take the risk with her 401k. It's not like she's taking it out right now anyway. Right. So for those of us who are a little bit further away from retirement, right, you can stand to maybe just invest in some stocks, definitely get some ETFs as well. For those of you who are closer to retirement, you may want to be more conservative and do ETFs. And here's why. Because if you do a stock only, right, if you invest in just stocks and any of those stocks go down, your retirement is possibly at stake. And yes, the stock market always rebounds and it always goes back up, but sometimes we don't know how long it's going to take. Sometimes it can take a few months. Sometimes it take a year. Sometimes it can take a few years. So if you're 2 years, 5 years away from retirement, you probably don't want to take the chance of having to wait 6 years, 7 years until it fully rebounds, right? Because again, it always goes back up. It has never not gone back up, but it does sometimes take time to go back up. Okay. So when it comes to those of you who are closer to retirement, what I want you to consider are ETFs. ETFs are exchange traded funds. They are basically a basket of stocks. Think about a whole basket, right? And it's a basket of stocks. So you have tons of different companies in one basket. So if you've been on here at any length of time, you've heard me talk about it before. And if you heard me, I'm sorry, I just saw somebody's comment. I have to put it up. You've heard me talk about ETFs before. All right. So if you're new, just stick with me if you've heard this before. But if you're new, I'm explaining this for those of you who are new. The ETFs are a basket of stocks. So you can own, let's see, an S&P 500 ETF, which my favorite one is VOO. That will get you about 14 to 15% gains over time, right? And I mean, just this year it got like 30%, right? But honestly, I don't really like to look at the 1 year returns because I'm not leaving my money in for a year. So I know a lot of times when we look at our returns, when we're talking about how much money we've been getting on our money, how much returns we've been getting on our money, we talk about the 1 year returns, which is cool. But the 1 year, like, you need to see the historical data. Like, what are you getting over the long haul? What have you gotten over the past 5 years, past 10 years, if it's in there for that long, over 20 years, right? So because a stock or an ETF can have a fantastic year this year, you can be getting 32% this year, but then next year you may only get 7%. And then next year you may get negative something. You may have gone down, right? So you really need a wide angle lens to look at the overall amount of time that you've been having this money invested, okay? So on average, over the past 10 years, this particular ETF, which is VOO, which is my favorite S&P 500 ETF, that one has gotten about 15% over 10 years. Now, yes, in the past year, it got like 30%, which is great. But over 10 years, we're stretching it out, it's gotten about 15 because we can't always go on what's it doing in this 1 year, right? If we have another year like 2008, where the housing crisis happened and everything goes down and we're in a recession, it's not going to be a 30% year, right? So that's why you can't just look at 1 year. You have to look at the whole picture, okay? But I want you to consider ETFs if you are someone, again, who is close to retirement or you are already retired and you need to invest your money that you have already taken out, okay? So VOO is a great one. SCHD is another fantastic one, which I talked to my rich friends about and got them to invest in that. That one pays dividends. So you should always have 3 types of ETFs in your portfolio, no matter who you are, right? You need to have a growth ETF, you need to have a tech ETF, and you need to have a dividend ETF, right? Growth, tech, ETF. And so the tech ones, they tend to do really well, get really even higher returns because it's tech, right? We got AI, we got cars that self-drive like Tesla, right? Like tech is doing great. It's always doing great, right? Technology is literally the future. So we want tech stocks in our company, in our portfolio. If you have a tech ETF, right, then you're going to have a bunch of companies that do well that are mostly tech, right? And so one of those that I love is QQQ. That one's gotten like about 30% over the past like few years, right? Then VOO is my other favorite one for the S&P 500. The S&P 500 is my other favorite one. VOO is my other favorite one. And that one has 500 of the largest stocks, 500 of the largest companies in it. So when you invest in VOO or QQQ, you will be investing in hundreds of companies. So QQQ tracks the NASDAQ 100, which I talked about last week. Okay. That one has, it's the 100 largest companies, the 100 largest non-financial companies in America, right? VOO is the 500 largest companies of any type in America. Okay. So, and then you want a growth ETF as well. A dividend ETF. So SCHD is my favorite one. It pays dividends, pretty high dividends, and I advise you guys get that one too. Okay. The difference between QQQ and QQQM, Tracy, is that QQQ well, first of all, the price is different. And then they have different companies in them. So let's just take a look at QQQ because they don't all have the same companies, I don't think. Or do they? I know one of them is the NASDAQ 100. They both might be NASDAQ 100s. I think they're both NASDAQ 100s. One of them, well, keep in mind too that they're also managed by different companies, right? So, like for instance, VOO, which is one that I love, is managed by Vanguard, right? And then there's other S&P 500 ETFs that are managed by other people, and they have different percentages of companies are in there. So, although you have 500 companies in there, let's say the top 10 include Apple, Tesla, Nvidia, and some more, right? They're going to have certain percentages of each of those companies. Whereas another ETF with the same companies, because it's the S&P 500, are going to have different percentages. So where the top 3 for VOO, I'm just making this up, might be Apple, Tesla, and Nvidia. Over on this other one, it might be Google, Amazon, and Nike, right? And so based upon those percentages, the price gets determined. And so VOO, as you mentioned earlier, is kind of expensive. It's like $500 some a share, but it also has the highest gains, right? QQQ, I believe, costs more than QQQM, or one of them is more expensive. Let's see. Yeah, QQQ is more expensive than QQQM, but the gains are much higher on that one because of the percentage mix, right? So I did this example last week, and I'll show it again here. Okay. Okay. So I really like this website because it shows you the total return over time for certain stocks and ETFs. So this is QQQ. As you can see, QQQ is getting 31.77% return over the past year. And over the past 10 years, it's gotten 423% returns, right? It's also more expensive. It's $509, right? If we look at QQQM over the past 10 years has gotten 81% returns, right? So 81% is great, but it's nothing compared to 423%, right? And so that's over the past 10 years. Over the past year, it's gotten 31%. So again, if we look at QQQ, they're almost the same for the past year. This is why I say you cannot just look at 1 year. You have to look at it stretched out with a bird's eye view of the long term, because the stock market buy and hold strategy is a long-term play. It is not options. It's not day trading. It is long-term, right? So if we're looking at 1 year, this is getting pretty much the same return as QQQM. However, if we move to 10 years, which is what we should be looking at, the difference is incredible. I would rather get 423% than 81%. But on the converse, this one's a lot more expensive. It's like double the price. It's over double the price, actually. So, you kind of have to take that as what you want to do. Do you want to pay less money and get a lower return, although it's still a great return? Or do you want to pay more money and get a significantly higher return? Right? So that's pretty much that. I'm gonna go back to QQQM real quick. Let's see what they've been getting over the past 3 years. 33% and 81% over the past 3 and 5 years. Past 3 years is 32% and 157% for QQQ. So again, QQQ is getting higher returns. So that's why I choose QQQ instead of the other one. Because here's the thing, I can still get you can buy fractional returns or fractional shares, right? You can get fractional shares. So even if you're like, well, I can't afford to buy $500 for one share, you can get fractional shares and get 530 or 432% returns on that. Can you guys see these numbers? I hope you all can see this. Let me see if I can make my screen bigger because I want you all to see this number. So here's the return over the past 10 years. Wait, what did I do? I did something wrong. Let me refresh. Okay. So I just highlighted it. Hopefully you guys can see that better. Can you see that? So that number that I just highlighted is the amount that it costs right now. The 432% return is the amount that it's gotten over the past 10 years. So let's do some math here, shall we? Let's have some fun. Let's say that my lovely client that had $300,000, I told her to put $100,000 into the stock, was able to put it into this one. Stop screen. Share the screen. Welcome to the Fix My Money Challenge, Tracy. I'm so glad that you're in. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Welcome, Tracy. Y'all give Tracy a hand clap in the comments for me. All right, so this calculator will not allow me to go past 99%, okay? Or 50% returns. But let's say she was able to put that $100,000 in for 10 years. At 50%, she will have $5.7 million. Let's actually try a different calculator and see if it will let us do it. This is the let's try investor.gov. See if you got, okay, you guys can still see my screen. Okay. So investor.gov, let's see if this one will allow me to do more than just 50. Okay, so let's say she put in $100,000 and she doesn't put in any more money and she leave it in there for 10 years and the interest rate stays the same. Oh, it's not gonna let me do it because the interest rate is so freaking high. It won't let me go past 100%. So let's do 99%. Just for kicks and giggles. Keep in mind, this is like 4 times that, okay? So 99%. She would have $97 million if she did that. At 99% for a $100,000 investment, right? And so that's crazy. That's crazy. That's absolutely insane. But she will never have that if she doesn't do some of the things that I'm telling her to do. Okay. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Again, the point is it doesn't take a lot of money to have a whole lot of money if you are consistent and diligent in this investment. Right? Consistency and diligence is important. Michelle, what days and times are the challenge held? So Michelle, they are similar to the Repair My Hair challenge. Is every day. We start at 7 p.m. Just like the other challenge, the replays are always available. And it's 5 days instead of 15, like the Repair My Hair challenge. So 5 days, 7 p.m. Is every day, and the replays are available each day. And last time, I think the replays got cut off after like the next day, but I think I might leave them up for like maybe 5 or 6 more days after that. So you'll have access to the replays for basically a whole extra week after the challenge ends. So let me know if you have any more questions. Let me see. Let me see if I can do it on my calculator. 100,000 times 4 times 2. Okay, it's not gonna let me do it on my calculator either. The number's too big. The number's so big that the calculators won't even let me be able to do the math on a 432% return. Crazy. So Tracy, does that answer your question about the difference between the two? Between QQQ and QQQM? They have the same companies in them because they're both NASDAQ 100 ETFs, but the percentage mix is different. And therefore, QQQ is getting over 4 times the return that QQQM is getting. But again, QQQM is cheaper, right? But again, you can do fractional shares. So it's like, why? Why not invest in the one that's got the most money? Because if all you have is $100, if all you got is $100 to spend right now, you might as well get 432% return on $100 rather than an 81% return on $100. You feel me? If all you got is $209 to invest, which is the price of QQQM right now, I would rather get for fractional shares of QQQ, which is $500, and get a 432% return rather than put that money and buy one whole share of QQQM and only get 81%. Now, again, 81% is fantastic, but if I can get 432%, I'm going with the other one all day. Tracy says, how many shares do you need to have in order to make money? You're going to make money on any amount. If you put in $5, you're going to make money. Now, it depends on how much money you want to make. That's the question. So I think the better question is, how many shares do you need to have in order to make a certain amount of money, right? Because those stocks are always going up. It seems like it would take forever to get to 100 shares. You don't have to have 100 shares. Now, if something that's getting 432%, right? It's about the gains, right? It's about the gains. What about the expense ratio? Let's see what the expense ratio is. Expense ratio is normally negligible on ETFs. Expense ratio of QQQ. The expense ratio is 0.20. 0.20 for QQQ, right? So for those of you who are wondering what an expense ratio is, an expense ratio is the amount that you pay to the management company of that ETF. So you don't really have expense ratios when it comes to individual stocks because for the most part, you're managing that yourself. But unless you want to go do the work of buying 100 different companies that are in the NASDAQ 100 on your own and managing every one of them and all that sort of stuff and changing up the percentages, then you basically pay a fee to the company that manages it. And like I said, it's normally negligible in comparison to the gains that you get, right? So it's 0.20. 0.20 is the expense ratio, and you don't pay it out of your pocket. It just comes out of your gains. So if you made, $100,000, you would pay 0.20% times 0.20% to them for that. But here's the other thing too. If you don't pay the fee, you can manage this on your own, but you may not have the same mix. You may not be able to get the same returns. You have to be looking at it all the time, every day or every couple of days to make sure that you're doing the right thing. It's just a lot of work. So you might as well just pay somebody else to do it. Okay. All right. So that's the play. If you are Tracy says, I hear different things. For instance, you need to have a lot of shares to make money. That's why I want to know what's a good number of shares to buy. Don't listen to everybody else. I mean, yes, it depends on the return. Like right now, Tracy, if you were to buy Spirit Airlines, which is trading for like 13 cents because they just filed bankruptcy, right? I'm actually not I think Spirit might come back. I don't know. We're going to see, right? But it's 15 cents a share. If you had 5 shares of that and it went up, you're probably not gonna make a lot of money because it's 15 cents, and the returns, at least for the foreseeable future, are going to be pretty low, right? But if you have 20 shares of something like QQQ, which is getting, 432% returns, you don't need to have as much. So it just depends. It's not a one size fits all, thing, obviously the more shares you have of something, the more money you can make. Absolutely. But you don't have to have 100 shares of everything. You don't have to have that. And again, it depends on what you want, right? So you kind of work backwards from what you want. If you're like, hey, I want to have $10 million. Okay, well, what do we need to do to get to 10 million? What companies do we need to look at over time what companies do we need to look at, or ETFs do we need to look at that over time have gotten about that much? If I put in this amount, I can get that 10 million in X amount of years, right? So again, it's like, it's not one size fits all, because Kofi is already retired. He may be like, I need that money like in the next 5 or 10 years. You may be like, I got 20 years, I got 25 years, 30 years, right? Or me, I got about a little over 25 years, right? So it's like, it kind of depends, on what it is that you are looking to do and what frame of time and how much money you want, so that we can work backwards from there. But to just say you need a lot of shares, like, what's a lot, right? A lot could be, for some people, it could be 20. For some people, it could be 1,000. It's subjective depending on what your goals are, right? So all of that we can cover in the Fix My Money Challenge. But bottom line is, you kind of need to determine what it is that you want, how much you want, about how much you want, and in what period of time, right? What I want to impart on, and I love all these questions, right? Keep them coming. The thing I want to impart on you all is, again, that this is not extra money that you're coming up with. This is money you already have, money that you're already investing in your 401k that you're using as a savings account. Stop doing that. We're going to start to invest. So if you are someone who is younger, like Danny says, she's got a while, she's not taking the money out anyway, she can afford to invest in something and take a little bit more risk. So she can invest in a company where she's going to have all her shares in that company are going to be just for that share. So let's say she invested in PLTR, she invested in NVIDIA, and let's say she also invested in Google. I'm just making this up. Okay. Those are getting really great returns, right? Sometimes, for the most part, they are. Excuse me. So if she were to invest in those and add in some ETFs for safety, because again, we want to keep some stuff safe, she could potentially get even higher returns, right? But again, if you're closer to retirement, you're going to need that money sooner. I'm going to advise you that you may want to consider like solely ETFs, because that way you minimize your risk, because if one stock goes down within any of those ETFs, you've got 100 to 450 other ones that are going to go up potentially. So you mitigate the risk with an ETF, whereas with a straight up stock, if it go down, that's it. But you also have time to rebound. Michelle says she's purchased 2 shares of PLTR last week. Congratulations, Michelle. I'm so glad to hear it. Tracy says she has about 10 years. So Tracy, 10 years is not a ton of time, but it's not like a really short period of time either. So you're kind of like in the middle, right? And again, if you could get the money that you want before that 10 years, you'd probably be retired. If you could get it in 5, you'd be like, I'm out, right? So again, we have to work backwards from, we know how many years you have or you want to retire. We need to know how much money you want to make. And then we can start to say, okay, let's look at the returns on these 5 or 10, this mix of stocks and ETFs that can get me there, right? Earlier today, I think Joe had mentioned he has some bonds in there. I'm trying to find his comment. It's kind of way up there. It's way up there somewhere. Where is Joe? I don't see his comment anymore. It's like deep in the comments, but he basically put in how much his like mixture was, and it was like a certain amount of ETFs, a certain amount of stocks, a certain amount of bonds, to kind of again get the really high returns on the individual stocks, but also mitigate the risk and still get high returns with the ETFs. And the bonds are basically for safety. Like you're not gonna make a lot of returns on bonds at all, but they're pretty much never gonna drop too low. So, here it goes. He has 80% stocks, 18% funds, so that's ETFs, and then 2% bonds. But Joe also is getting a 34% return because the bulk of his investing is in stocks, individual stocks. He has 18% return, 18% in funds, ETFs, again, to kind of mitigate that risk and also be able to invest in a bunch of other companies that he may not want to have individually. And then he's got 2% in bonds. And like I said, bonds are, they're kind of like the tortoise and the hare. The bonds are like, they're real slow. They don't really go up a whole lot, but they're going to be there. They're not really going to go down too much. Right. And so that's that. All right. Let me get back to the point, and now I done lost Joe's comment, so I can't take it off the screen. Okay. All right. let's talk about HSAs, okay? And this is the other one that a lot of you guys are not utilizing. Do you have an HSA? If you have an HSA, put HSA in the comments. Put HSA in the comments if you have an HSA, not an FSA, an HSA. Do you have an HSA? If so, let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments if you have an HSA. I want to see something. Love Matters has an HSA. So does Danny and Nancy. So does Danny and Nancy. Anybody else have an HSA? Who else has an HSA? Tracy has no HSA. Okay. Do you know you can open up an HSA on your own? You don't have to have your employer do it. You can definitely open up one on your own. Y'all, we had 38 likes. Y'all, give me some likes. If you have not liked this video yet, go ahead and press the like button because we want everybody to be able to get this information. And the more that you press like, the more YouTube will will put it in everybody's algorithm so they get it. Okay. All right. Michelle says she does not have an HSA, but her job does offer it. Clarence has had one for about 10 years. Okay. So here's the thing. An HSA is a health savings account, not to be confused with an FSA. An HSA allows you, considered a triple tax benefit account. I'll explain what the 3 benefits are in just a minute. But the difference between that and an FSA is that an FSA, which is a flexible spending account, you cannot roll that money over, right? So in an HSA, you're basically putting your money in and whatever you don't use just rolls over to the next year until you take it out. An FSA is a use it or lose it kind of situation. So if you put in, $1,000 this year, but you only spend $700, you lose the other $300 by the end of the year, right? So I don't recommend FSAs at all because for somebody like me, I don't go to the doctor that much. And so whatever money I put in, if I put in anything, I'm probably not going to use it. And then I'm just out of my money. Not so great, right? An HSA, by contrast, allows you to not only put the money in for medical expenses, but it allows you to also invest it. You cannot invest in FSA. So if you have an FSA, I would highly suggest that you look into an HSA as opposed to an FSA. Now, in order to qualify for an HSA or a health savings account, is you have to have a high deductible health insurance plan. Right. And the whole idea is that if you have a high deductible, it's going to take you may not ever really pay that whole deductible in a year. And so basically by putting your money into an HSA, you can basically save money for medical expenses so that you're not always coming out of pocket every time you go to the doctor. That's the whole overarching initial premise of it. However, an HSA has a triple tax benefit and is almost similar to a Roth IRA, which is 100% tax-free as long as you pull it out once you are retired. Okay. And retirement for a HSA is considered by the government age 65, not to be confused with 59 and a half for a 401k. Okay. So 65 for an HSA. Okay. Now, keep in mind, remember my client who has the $300,000. If she were to take her $100,000 that I told her to take, and she's 58 right now, okay? And we're going to go back to here, okay? She takes $100,000 and she puts it in there. She's 58, so 58 minus 65 is 7 years. So she's got 7 years, and let's say she was able to get, let's just say 20% returns. So in 7 years, she would have $358,000, where she would have only put in the $100,000, but she would have earned $298,000 in interest, or $258,000 in interest in 7 years. So she could do that with an HSA, right? So again, the play is, the good thing is that she has options, right? And so these are all things that I told her when we were talking. She could do the 401, not the 401k, but just put her money in the stock market like I told her, or she could put that money into a HSA, or she could take 50,000 and put it in one, 50,000 other. She's got options because she got a decent amount of money, right? She could take that $100,000, put into an HSA, benefit from the triple tax benefits that HSAs come with, which I'll tell you what those three are in a minute. And she would then be able to have that money be tax free when she retired, but she will also earn $258,000 in 7 years passively, which is amazing, right? Amazing. Okay. So let me tell you the three benefits. So it's tax deferred. That's the first thing. You don't pay taxes on it until basically the money grows tax free until age 65, right? And you don't pay taxes on it once you take it out. So tax-free growth, tax-free withdrawals for medical expenses, and then tax deductible contributions. So when you are contributing this money, you can, when you're contributing this money to your HSA, okay, you get to write it off, which is a way for you to save money. Now, why doesn't your employer push the HSA so hard? Michelle says she has a HSA through her. She has the option of HSA through her job, but she doesn't take advantage of it. But I guarantee you, they push that 401k, don't they? They push the hell out of that 401k because they get a benefit for it. They get a tax write-off. They ain't getting no tax write-off for the HSA. They're not. And so you wonder why, when the HSA is almost, in many ways, kind of better than the 401k, the only downside of the HSA is that you can't contribute as much, right? The 401k, you contribute up to $23,500. The HSA, depending on if you have a family or not, you can contribute between, I think it's $4,300 and like $8,500, right? So if you're single and it's only, the HSA is only covering you, you can contribute up to $4,300. If you have family coverage, so you and at least one other person in your household, you can contribute up to $8,550, right? So it's not as much that you can contribute. But in somebody like my client who was only contributing $7,500 a year, the HSA is probably her better bet because she's still going to pay taxes on that 401k once she gets out of retirement because it's tax deferred, not tax free. Whereas the HSA is tax free. So if you're not contributing, if you got to choose between the two and you're not contributing the full amount anyway, the HSA may be the better way to go because once you get to retirement age, you don't have to pay any taxes. And the other thing is that while the money is in the account, if you have a medical expense, you get to use that money for medical expenses completely tax-free as well. Right? So you get to write off the money that you contribute. So all $7,500 that she was contributing while she was working, she could have written that off every single year and paid less taxes. This will put her into a different and lower tax bracket, thereby allowing her to keep more of her money because she is not paying, because that money is able to be written off. She gets tax-free growth, so it grows completely tax-free. And then when she uses it for medical expenses, she also pays no taxes. Now, when age 65 comes, you can take that money out for anything, right? Up until 65, you can use it with no penalty for medical expenses. But after age 65, there's no penalty either for non-medical expenses. So this is why it's an underutilized retirement account. And Michelle, I would highly advise that you look into it. If you can afford to do both, I would definitely do both. Now, your employer is only going to match the 401k. They're not going to match the HSA. But if you're an individual person, you're only covering yourself at $4,300 a year. That is $358 a month that you would contribute. Or if you can pay every 2 weeks, that's $179 every 2 weeks, right? That you can put in to max it out. Now, you don't got to max it out, but you could, right? And if you are maxing it out, you're putting all that money, all that extra money that is tax-free. This is a sorely underutilized retirement account. And not only all of that, but you can also invest this money. You can invest this money just like you can the 401k money or the 403b money. All right. Pamela says year to date, her 457B is 11.12%, and the rate of return is 24.66%. What's your last 5 years? What's your last 10 years, Pamela? Let me know that. Okay. So again, like you got your 401k, you got your 403B. I'm sorry, 401k. She has a 401k. She has no HSA, but she could have had an HSA. And she can still get an HSA if she wants, because she's 58. She's not 65 yet. You can get it at any age, honestly. And she could be investing that money. So I think it was someone earlier was like, well, what can she do at this point now that she's already about to retire? She could take some of the money that she is earning for her business that she started, that we talked about, and she could put some of that money into the HSA and earn gains on that. Right? So if her goal in 10 years is to be completely done with working altogether, then she is out the game. She didn't have to work anymore because she got $100,000 earning interest over on her that was in her 401k. That's now in just the straight up stock market. She's got another, if she's maxing it out, $4,300, which I'm pretty sure she's making more than $4,300 in a year from her business, right? $4,300 in her HSA, that's earning money. So she can still have a pretty comfortable retirement. She's got to wait a couple more years. Right? Because she didn't do it before she stopped working. So she's got to do it after she stopped working, but she can still make it happen. Right? She was like, I don't want to have to work at Walmart and be a greeter. And there's nothing wrong with being a greeter at Walmart if that's what you want to do. But we want to do it because we want to do it, not because we have to do it, right? If she wanted to be a greeter at Walmart because she enjoys seeing people and, interacting with people and wants to get out the house, cool. But let's do it because that's something that brings us joy in our golden years or retirement age, not something that we have to do and we hate doing, but we got to do it because we didn't prepare in retirement. Okay. So again, you will never be able to retire comfortably unless you invest your money. So those of you who are not investing, I need you to promise me that you are going to contact your company that manages your 401k, your HSA if you have one, and I want you to find out what your rate of return is. And if it's not beating the average, which is, between 8 and 10%, and it's not beating it significantly, I don't mean like 11% or 12%. I mean 15 and above, then you need to start managing it yourself. But you can't do anything until you find out how much you're getting right now. And I don't want you to just look at the last year. Do not look at the last year. Look at the last 5 years, the last 10 years. Better yet, the longer length of time you have, the better. So if you've been working for 40 years, look at the last 40 years. If you have been working for 10, same thing. 20, same thing. So whatever the longest length of time that you have, but at minimum 10 years, you should be looking at to find out what your average rate of return is. Because like I said, this year has been honestly a pretty decent year for the stock market. So for everyone who's like, oh, well, I got 30%, I got 29%, great. You may not get that next year. You probably sure didn't get it 2 or 3 years ago, right? So again, you have to have a bird's eye view, not just, this individual year. Okay. Tracy says, insurance at my job is so expensive. You don't have to get insurance through your job, Tracy. So let me tell you something. I own a company and we offer insurance. And I've shared this story with other people before, but I'm gonna share it again, right? We offer insurance, but because I am an employer, considered a small business, I get small business insurance, right? I don't get the insurance packages that like Amazon would get or like Google would get because I don't have that many employees, like they do. So I got a decent amount of employees, but I don't got nothing compared to them, right? So they're going to get a greater package because they have so many people that are benefiting from their packages. Someone like me or most people like me who own businesses, we're getting, it's okay, right? And so we offer insurance to our employees at the company. I noticed when I was doing my own Fix My Money challenge, right? I noticed that I was paying $780 some a month in insurance, health insurance for just me and my son. Now, me and my son do not go to the doctor very often at all. We really don't go to the doctor. We are pretty healthy people. We just don't have a reason to go to the doctor. And so we were paying all this money, or I was paying all this money. And I started to think, like, how can I reduce this? Let me figure out if I can reduce this. Because I was buying it through my job, buying it through my company, right? And I was like, well, do I have to have it through my company? The answer is no, I don't have to have it through my company. I can go on the marketplace and find my own. So I went to the marketplace, found a bunch of plans that were still pretty expensive, right? And it was important to me that I had the same doctor. My son had the same doctor. I had the same dermatologist, and we both had the same therapist, right? So that was really important to me. So they all need to be a network. And I also wanted to make sure I had Blue Cross Blue Shield because I like them as an insurance company. I did not want to change any of that, but I wanted to pay a cheaper price. So I went over to Zander Insurance, Zander, Zander Insurance. And I now pay $241 a month for our insurance. Same doctors, same insurance company, right? And both of those plans, the $780 some plan and the $241 plan, are both considered high deductible plans because, again, we don't go to the doctor very often. So it's like there's no point in me paying a low deductible and paying an even higher amount because the lower the deductible, the higher your monthly rate is, right? So just imagine with $700 and some, that was a high deductible plan. Can you imagine if I was getting it through my company and it was a low deductible plan? I'd be paying like $1,500. Crazy to not go a month to not go to the doctor. It's ridiculous, right? So now I pay $241. But here's the rub. I pay $241 now, but I got a letter in the mail and I haven't shared this part for y'all, so this is new information. I got a letter in the mail from Blue Cross saying that my plan the current plan I was on was actually going to go up to $271 a month starting next year. And I was like, oh, well, I mean, I'm still paying less than $780, but I don't want to pay more than I'm paying right now. So let me see if I can get it even cheaper. I go back on the marketplace and because it's open enrollment right now, and I go back to Zander as insurance as well. Now, Zander is a broker. They are not an insurance company. Okay. Zander is the company, ZanderInsurance.com. Okay. I go back to Zander and I go back to the marketplace. Again, I don't want to change my plan. I mean, I don't want to change my insurance company and I don't want to change my doctors, but I still need the plan to be a high deductible plan because I want to benefit from the HSA, right? I can't get the HSA benefit if I have a low deductible plan. I can only get it if I have a high deductible plan. So it has to be an HSA eligible plan. It has to be Blue Cross Blue Shield, and I have to have the same doctor for me, doctor for him, therapist, and dermatologist, right? Found a new plan. Same company, same doctors, through Zander. $77 a month is what I will start paying in January of 2025 for the same stuff. Still high deductible plan, right? So yes, it is probably high through your job. Tracy says insurance through my job is so expensive. Yes, it was high through my company as well, but I don't have to have an HSA or insurance even through my company. Now, we still offer it to everybody else who wants to be able to have insurance through the company. But as for me, I am pretty much the only one who has a dependent that still lives in the house, right? So my cost was so much more because I'm paying for me and my son. Everybody else is either single or their kids are grown. So they don't handle them. So they don't pay it. They weren't paying as much as me. But me, I'm paying almost $800 a month. And now I'm going to be paying $77 a month starting in January for getting the same stuff, right? Just doing research, finding a different company. So I'm willing to pay $77 a month, even though I don't go to the doctor very often. I'm willing to pay that versus $780 or even what's the other amount I was paying? Or the 200, almost 71 that I'm going to have to pay if I stay on that old plan, because now I get to benefit from the HSA. Think about this. Let's do some math. $77 times 12, because I have to have health insurance. We got to have health insurance. Like every now and then we're going to go to the doctor. My son at minimum he plays basketball. So at minimum, he has to go for his annual physical so he can be eligible for the team, right? So he's got to do that. I go to the dermatologist every quarter. So it's 4 times a year. I'm a woman, so I got to have a pap smear every year. I got to have a mammogram, all that sort of stuff, right? So I got to have but just our natural wellness checkups, right? We got to have our basic checkups, even though we're not going to the doctor pretty much for anything else. So that's $924 a year when you multiply 77 times 12. So on average, I'll pay $924 a year for this health plan. Keep in mind that I can save $433, because I have a dependent, $8,800 $8,550 a year I can save into that account. If I can save $8,550 a year, let's say I do that for the next 20 years, that's $171,000 that I will save in that account because it's a high deductible HSA eligible plan, right? I can max that out. Well, I can't always max it out because he's 13. At some point, I'll only be able to say 4330, right? But just say 8550 for kicks and giggles right now, right? 8550, $171,000. If I put that into the stock market, is it worth me paying $77 a month? Yes, right? 100%. 100% is worth me paying that because I'm going to have over $1 million just in my HSA. Just in my HSA. Even if I stayed on that same plan for 10 years, because, but things are going to go up, things are going to go down, right? I'm going to, next year is going to be open enrollment again. I'm going to find another plan, right? But let's say I stay on the same plan for 10 years. That's $9,240 over the course of 10 years that I would pay in that plan. So let's say $9,000 versus over $1 million. Am I willing to spend $9,000 for a health plan that allows me to get over $1 million? Absolutely. Right? It's definitely worth it. Right? Like, what's $9,000 if I'm making $1 million? I mean, shit, it's nothing. Right? That's nothing. So, and that's over 10 years. That's not in a year. Right? So that's just an example. Like, we really got to think like this when it comes to our money. Like, we got to think long term. Like, okay, so Tracy, if you want to be able to benefit from an HSA, I know you said you have great insurance through your husband's job. Awesome, right? And your job is very expensive for health insurance. Well, can you potentially consider, I'm not saying to do this, but can you consider going over to, can you go over to the marketplace or Zander Insurance, like I mentioned, is ZANDERINS.com. I'll put it in the chat for you in case anybody wants to go check them out. Like I said, they're a broker. I don't get any kickback for it. So, you can check them out if you want to or not. But I have had great success with them in the past 2 years. Lowered my bill from almost $800 to $241 and now from $241 to $77. And now is a great time for you guys to be looking for high deductible health savings plan eligible plans because it's open enrollment. So it's going to be less expensive than if you go do this in March or something. Okay. Because it's kind of like, think about when you go, for a car, buy a car. What do they always say? Buy a car at the end of the month because the car dealerships are the car salesmen are trying to make their quota. So they're willing to negotiate more and give you a better deal. And the prices will be cheaper than if you go at the beginning of the month, right? It's kind of like the same thing. Like the prices, I've noticed that the prices of the insurance are way less during open enrollment than they are later in the year because, again, everybody's trying to get in. These brokers such as Zander, they get a kickback for every plan that they sign up, right? So they're going to offer really good prices, which is why I'm able to go now from $241 to $77 a month for the same stuff, right? So Tracy, maybe you could just consider getting a plan of your own that's separate from your job just to have it so that you can invest in if you can get a really, really cheap plan. Let's say you were able to get a plan for like $40 a month, right? And you could stay on that plan, but then you could invest $8,550 if it's you and like you put you and your, I don't know if you have kids, but say you got kids, you put your husband on there or whatever, right? If you get a $50 to $100 plan, like you can still make it work because you don't have to be at a job to get to benefit from an HSA. You can get your own HSA like I did. My HSA is outside of any company. It's just me. I run my HSA because I have it individually. I have the health plan individually. I don't have it through my company anymore. Right. So again, these are plays, these are strategies that we can think through and that we can utilize. And we teach all of these kinds of things in the Fix My Money Challenge if you join. Which again, I'm gonna be getting off here pretty soon. But if you have not yet joined the Fix My Money Challenge while I'm live, you're gonna want to make sure that you do. because is half price right now, is half the price. And if you sign up while I am live, I will send you my financial literacy flashcards for free if you sign up while I'm live. So I'm gonna put the link in the chat one more time and you guys can sign up. Okay. Tracy, I actually don't see you on the list. Oh, wait. I see Katrina Lombard. Is that you? Or is that somebody else? I don't see Tracy. Tracy, I don't see your name at all. Did it go all the way through? I see a lot of other people. The Nelly Cat says, I can get my own HSA. What if I already have a flex? Can I get a flex and an HSA? Oh, Curtis Holloman. Okay, I got you, Tracy. Yes, I see you. Okay, perfect. Yes, you can absolutely get your own HSA. You can absolutely get your own HSA. You know, I don't really deal with flex FSAs too much. Let me see if you can get your own FSA. Let's see. Let me go to my sources. No, you cannot get a flexible spending account outside of work. This is what the resources say. FSAs are pre-tax accounts that employees can use to pay for certain out-of-pocket healthcare costs, such as deductibles, copays, medication. Same thing you can use an HSA for, basically. If you're self-employed, you can set up a HSA, but only FSAs are offered through employers. So you cannot get a FSA outside of work, but you can get an HSA. You can get an HSA. I just feel like FSAs are like the bad stepchild. You know, like you can't really do much with them. Like you can't even get one outside of work, which I wasn't even sure until just now because I don't even deal with them because they are, in my opinion, nowhere near as great as an HSA. You can do the same thing at HSA that you can at FSA. In an HSA, you can save money for medical expenses. In an FSA, you can do the same thing. If you have an FSA, it can you save money for medical expenses, copays, deductibles, prescriptions, that sort of thing. HSA, same thing. But the FSA, you can't roll it over. So if whatever money you put in, if you don't use it before the end of the year or the period of time, you lose that money. At HSA, it just rolls over. You don't lose your money. You just keep your money and you can invest it. You can't do that with an FSA. You don't get any of the triple tax benefits that you get with the HSA. I don't know why anybody will even have an FSA when they can have an HSA. I don't know. But I think it's the reason that companies will offer you an FSA is because they get a tax benefit for it. They don't get tax benefits for the HSAs. Yes, Trace, that's how jobs get over. You're 100%. You're 100% right. Your job is not pushing that HSA to you because they don't get no benefit from it. They don't get no tax write-off. But they do with that 401k and they do with that FSA. Yes, Tracy. I mean, yes, Denali Cat. Yes. So if I have an FSA, can I still go out and get an HSA in addition to my FSA? Yes, girl. Yes. Please do. Please do. If you have an FSA at work, cool. Keep it. Do what you do. Just make sure that you use that money up by the end of the year. But an HSA, you can get outside of work completely on your own. Yes. What's the contribution limit? Let's see. Let's look it up. What's the contribution limit for FSA? Okay, so it says and you can't even save as much. With an FSA, you can only contribute up to $3,300 through payroll deductions, and that's in 2025. With an HSA, you can contribute at minimum $4,300 if you are individual, or $8,550 if you have at least one other person on your plan. Yeah. Lysandra joined the Fix My Money Challenge. Give her a hand clap in the comments, you guys. She's gonna get her money together. Congratulations, Lysandra, welcome to the Fix My Money Challenge. Cannot wait to work with you. It's going to be amazing. So yeah, that's the deal with HSA. So again, you guys, please make sure that you are utilizing your HSAs. And here's the other thing. If you are over the age of 55, you can actually contribute an additional $1,000. So if you're over 50, instead of $4,300, you can contribute $5,300. If you're over 55, instead of $8,550 for a family, you can contribute $9,550. So you have way more options and benefits when it comes to an HSA. Okay. So again, I'd love to use my client that I mentioned as an example. Like, she's at retirement age. She doesn't have much money saved up, at least not compared to what she thought that she was going to have, but she still has options. So those of you who are under retirement age, right? If she has options at retirement age and people who are over retirement age have options, you definitely have options, okay? But you have to invest your money. When it comes to your HSA, again, do not go to your employer if your employer is the one who offers it. Go to whoever's on your statement and ask, hey, how do I invest this money in the stock market? Because if you go to your HR person, they're going to say, oh, well, you just contribute to the HSA and that's it. No, that is not it. What is it is if you invest that money in the stock market. Okay. That is how you build a $1 million plus HSA account from only contributing up to $85.50 a year. Dave Ramsey has like a $20 million or several $1 million HSA account because he's been investing it forever, right? Sabrina just joined. She ready to get rich. Go, Sabrina. Go. Go, Sabrina. Go, 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 Sabrina. Go, go. I'm excited to see you in the challenge, girl. It's going to be awesome. I'm so excited to have you. And again, anyone who wants to join the Fix My Money Challenge, keep in mind that it is open and half price right now. As I said, if you join while I'm live, you will get my financial literacy flashcards for free. The half price offer will not last forever. It will only be for the next couple of days. But if you're watching live, you'll also get those financial literacy flashcards, which will be sent to you shortly. All right. Bottom line is that retirement is expensive. I mean, healthcare costs alone can wipe out $300,000 in savings easily, right? So if you don't grow your money, your future self could be facing literally a lifetime of stress. So when it comes to this, I hope that this is a warning signal for you guys, because a lot of times this is not something that we think about. We think about the day to day. We're not thinking about tomorrow. We're even not thinking about 20 years from now. But if you don't think about the 20 years from now, or the 10 years from now, or the 5 years from now, you will not be able to retire in the way that you want to retire. And I know, when you go to someone, they say, well, how much money do you expect to spend while you're retired? Like, I don't know. I have no idea. I hate that question because it's like, well, right now you make X amount of dollars. Do you think you'll be living on 70% less? I don't think so. I plan to live on what I live on right now. So I don't want to have to get rid of 30% of my lifestyle. Do you? If you don't want to get rid of your 30%, if you don't want to get rid of any of your lifestyle right now, let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments if you would like to continue to live the life that you're living, if not a better life, in retirement. Like, I hate when they ask that. Like, no, I don't have any intention of downsizing if I don't have to. Right? Like, again, as I've said before, and we say every week, I don't wake up to be average. I wake up every day to be extraordinary. If you wake up to be extraordinary, let me know. Say extraordinary in the comments. If you're waking up to be an average Joe or average Jane, I don't know what's going on. But if you're waking up to be extraordinary, then we got to do some things different. Right? Elise says she wants to continue and be a lot better than she is now, right? Like, if we're not working, honey, I'm all over the world. Like, I travel a lot now, but I'm traveling if I'm not working. I'm not like, oh, well, let me just sell my house and live on ramen noodles because I got to live on 50% of what I used to make. Like, that doesn't sound good at all. So a lot of times, when you talk to these, financial advisors, sometimes they will, especially the ones at your job, they may say, well, you're only going to be living on 70% or only living on 40%. Like, who's doing that? Now I don't have to, right? I'm living how I'm living. But you can't live how you living if you don't have no income coming in and your retirement is not where it needs to be, right? So bottom line is, make sure that you are investing your money, okay? Couple resources I want to give you before we go, because it's we've been on here for a couple hours and I want to make sure that you guys have some resources at your disposal, okay? First things, I want you to save in your bookmarks on your computer or on your phone the Nerd Wallet compound interest calculator. Okay. I'm going to put it in the chat. That is the link right there. It's a very long link. Let me actually give you a shorter link because that was ridiculously long. Here you go. That's the Nerd Wallet compound interest calculator. I've just put it in the chat. This calculator is going to allow you to work backwards. Like I was telling Tracy earlier, whatever you want, whatever number you want, you work backwards from there, right? To see how long it's going to take you. So basically, if you want, $10 million at the end of 10 years, well, you got to figure out how much you got to invest at what percentage rate in order to get that return. If you have 20 years or 30 years, you have a little bit more time. Okay. So I want you to bookmark that calculator. And then you will be able to kind of work backwards, starting with the number that you want. And of course, you can always hopefully get more money than that. But if that's your number, you need to see how much money you need to put in, and also each month or each year, also how much returns you're going to have to get in order to make that dollar amount. Okay. That's the first thing. Second thing, again, is the Fix My Money Challenge. I'm going to give you the link one more time for that. That is open right now. It is half the price. It will not be half the price in a couple of days, but it is the price right now. Okay. So that's the second thing. Michelle says she would love to take the money challenge, but the classes are when she's working and she's not keen on replays. She likes the live interaction. I get it. But we do start at 7. I think in the past we ended 8:30, maybe 9. So you're on the West Coast, I think, Michelle. So that will be 5 to 7 your time, 5 to 6 or 5 to 7, depending on how long we are on. So I totally understand. But if you do want to join or able to join, we would absolutely love to have you. And then those are the main two things. And then I also want to give you this other website called Finance Charts, because the one I showed earlier, because it will allow you to see the total return of a stock or ETF at any particular time. Okay. So again, I don't want you all to focus so much on that 1 year return, because most of us are not retiring in 1 year, right? Most of us got, 5, 10 years or whatever. You need to see what that 10-year return is doing, not just, not the 1 year, because you can't just go off of 1 year. Okay. You need to see the long-term benefits. Okay. All right, those are 3 resources I'm going to give you guys today. Thank you for sticking with me today, you guys. It has been a pleasure having you. Hope that you all enjoyed this. If this was beneficial for you, let me know in the comments. Let me know it was great for you. Just say this was great in the comments if this was something that you can take away and is actionable that you can put into use. Is there any benefit to getting an HSA after retirement, says Beverly? Yes, Beverly. Girl, yes. It's a benefit to get an HSA at any age. There's a benefit to getting an HSA. I mean, of course, the more years you have available before you take it out, the better. But honestly, if you have health, here's the thing. If you have health insurance right now and you're relatively healthy, I mean, you may go to the doctor here and there, but you're not like, you don't have a cancer, or you don't have, something that's going to cause you to be at the doctor all the time. Like, you probably need to have a high deductible plan anyway, because it will lower your costs. So if you have a high deductible plan, just make sure you get one that's HSA eligible. So yes, like, the benefit is the same benefits, Beverly. It's still triple tax advantage, no matter how old you are, right? No, you can't get an HSA once you start Medicare Love Matters, because it's not high deductible. There's no deductible, right? For the most part with Medicare. So yeah, it has to be a high deductible plan in order for you to get, in order for you to be able to get an HSA. So yeah, if you are Medicare, you won't be able to get it because there's no deductible for you. So anyway, Beverly, it's a triple tax advantage. So for medical expenses, it's still tax free. For it is tax free once you pull it out at age 65. Should you pull it out for medical and non-medical expenses, and you get a tax write-off every year. So you could keep it in there until you were 90 if you wanted to. Like, you can do whatever. But yes, regardless of if you are retired or not, you should still, I advise, get an HSA. Okay. All right. Zanelli Cat says she has 30 shares of PLTR and growing. It's not by a lot, but she's trying to get up to 100 shares by the summer. Yeah, I mean, buying 100 shares is considered a round lot. That's what they call in the stock market. A round lot is 100 shares. Yeah, but girl, PLTR is like about to blow. So, I mean, like it's up like $5 just since this time last week per share. So, you know, it's a stock market. It's gonna go down. It's a tech stock, so it's gonna be volatile. It's gonna go up and down. But as long as you just buy and hold, just buy and hold, girl. Just hold steady. I see that going like well over $100 in the next few years for sure. So good for you for having 30 shares, and definitely get more if you can. Okay. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate all of you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Have a beautiful holiday. And make sure you sign up for the Fix My Money Challenge so we can get your money together. And you can build a 7-figure net worth and beyond. I'll see you soon next week. Have a good day. Bye.